There it is.
That's it.
So, we might as well do the minutes. Does anybody have minute issues? No?
No, I didn't.
Nobody? All right, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes as written. Is there a second? Tim? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, whatever. Okay, so we had originally targeted the first meeting in October to finish this. So maybe we can do it. So let's go through, Vicky's, thank you for your rewrite.
Yep.
I had a few questions, and if other people have questions, let's start off in that first paragraph. Where you have the roof-mounted solar energy system, a solar energy system that is attached to the roof of the building. It's kind of weird, because it's sort of a different definition, but it's combined with that first one. Is that what you intended?
No,
Okay, so how is that supposed to go?
Cause she added,
You
it's
see.
not a separate structure, right?
You need a paragraph break before
Yeah.
roof mounted.
Okay, so just
Yep.
a paragraph break
well, I
there?
think roof mounted needs to go after all these other ones, because we're talking about generally solar energy systems, and then, I
So-
guess if it's alphabetical, roof mounted goes first.
Well, is it roof, it's not, because fixed is D. So do you wanna make it as an E?
No,
No,
Just, so where do you put it?
well, actually, you could do it as I think, I would put it as C maybe, and then put, yeah, I put it as C.
C and then make the others
everyone's-
D and
yeah,
E?
Yep,
Is that okay with
wait,
everybody
I
else?
don't understand.
Are you
Yeah,
assigning
where are
letters
you-
to these paragraphs?
Uh,
And
it's,
definitions?
it's in this thing.
First page, I sent it to you this afternoon.
D, solar energy system definition.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does not have any letters.
This one. Mine
That's not
does.
the one,
Yeah,
I sent you.
mine is-
Well, mine has like little A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah.
No, I don't have that covered version then.
Okay, let's fix that
Sorry.
for you.
No problem.
I don't think my printer sucked them out.
I don't have it either.
Well, it can't, it went out today,
there's a date, 8/25/22
8/25/22.
is the top of it.
Yeah,
Is that what yours has, Hubie? Okay, so.
Okay, so
I printed the
Tim,
last one.
Tim
Yes,
needs
it
one.
does, it does. 8/25/22, add to 4.42.
Yeah,
Right, okay, so somebody else didn't have the letters on theirs last time. Do you have
that
a
was
Mac?
me.
I wondered if it
Yeah,
was
I
just.
do.
Yeah, I do have a Mac.
I do too.
Does
so
yours
I don't
look
know.
I do
I
too.
don't know what, but I printed the last one that came.
So this was all one
No, there was
paragraph.
one
but
today.
then-
Did you print
Oh,
it?
that's
The one from
interesting.
Vicky, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
let me see.
Yeah,
And you don't have, that's really weird.
It's really
You
weird.
see
I
this
just
print?
printed, I just printed this. an hour
Okay, so
ago.
you know what, I mean, basically, well, he's getting you another one, but it's basically, it is
Rich
letters,
showed you his. Mine
A, B, C, and
mine
D.
has letters on it. Isn't that dear?
Yeah, mine doesn't.
The computer got a
It
flat.
doesn't.
I think it's just operating systems
Yeah,
or
yeah.
versions of Word or
But
something
anyway,
like that.
so you wanna make that C,
Yep, move it to C and then.
we'll move it to C.
Well, you feel like you're being gaslit, you know?
oh, okay, there we
What
go.
the heck?
Yeah, what's the matter, Hebe, you don't see the letters?
Yeah,
Okay, now I got you.
so
So,
A becomes C.
Oh, I see.
No, it didn't have
And I had
a letter.
separated.
We just
It's
moved
this,
the roof
it's
mounted
this
down.
part,
contract changes, so that makes better sense.
where's the roof, let me see. Yeah, so this
That becomes,
oh shit, I
okay.
mean, oh,
Yeah,
mean,
that
shoot.
one would become D,
um,
and this one would
it
become
goes down
D.
to C.
And that goes, okay, so this.
And this becomes.
But David's getting you a, your own
Yeah, that
copy.
is strange, 'cause I just just printed it.
Oh, these are, you know, in life, I don't know whether you've noticed this, but a lot of unexpected things happen.
No.
So, I'm kinda curious though, this is supposed to go, into
The zoning ordinance.
the zoning ordinance, 4.42,
Excuse me.
Well,
right
No,
after
no,
the
just-
single attached accessory dwelling unit, right?
All it's gonna say is D, solar energy system, see Article 14. That's the only part that's going to 4.42.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Here is,
all right.
anyone else
How
need?
strange.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so, and then the definitions goes to the definitions.
Then this is gonna go into the beginning in the definitions
Yes.
page. Oh, okay.
Okay, so, yeah, so is everybody clear on that?
Yep.
All right, so, so the D, the 4.42D is just a reference, so that when people go there as a, for an accessory use,
Okay,
they'll
gotcha.
get to redirect it. All right, so what Vicky was saying is the roof mounted solar energy system would move to C, and, the current C and D would move to D and E.
Correct.
yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome.
All right. Anybody else have issues?
And so this is all just one underlying thing in the definition.
Yes.
It's gonna say solar energy system, and then it's gonna have all of this, okay.
Right,
Now I'm beginning to.
yeah, and this will all be in the definitions, everything on this page.
Yep.
And then we move to the second page. And there are just a couple of typos.
Mhm.
Yep.
You got them? Somebody else can,
I only saw one.
okay,
Well, 1410 E.
Yep.
yeah,
Locate.
locate,
Oh,
And then the.
Town.
The
Right.
town of Lyme, yeah.
right.
And maybe that we wanna figure out with SES's, with that little s, are we, did we decide we're
Yeah,
keeping
how
that
did we
like
end
that,
up,
or?
we ended up going back to SES's, did we do that?
Yeah, I thought we
I
decided
thought
to
we-
do-
I thought you
write
took
it
off
out.
the little s's.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's-
So we just keep them all?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take out all the SCSs and spell it out every time.
Right.
No.
No, leave
No,
just
just take the
SES
little s off.
Oh,
at
okay,
the end.
all right. Sorry,
okay.
I'll do that,
It's an irrevocable horror.
I think I must have missed that.
That was the best part. All right, so we're going to just SES,
Mm-hmm,
and we got the locate in the town, and then 14.3.
1423?
No, 14.3,
Point three.
sorry,
14.3, okay,
point 3.
yep,
And I'm not sure about this, but large solar energy systems may be primary or accessory uses on a lot and shall require a condition.
correct, yep.
Okay. And, then on just a technicality,
So then, I thought that was kind of odd though. Shall meet the following conditions,
where are we?
1430,
Okay,
and the condition is that it's not permitted.
oh, I see, going from but that's 14.2.
No,
So
it's-
that doesn't reference 14.3, that's a
no, it's
new,
Right under 14.
Very bottom of the page, last.
and meet
I.
the following conditions, right, you're right. Yeah,
It
that
seems
is,
like we should have some conditions that it has to meet,
right,
and then
Just
we
say do
somewhere.
not require. You could just change that from a positive,
right, it should probably be, and shall, yeah,
shall.
so what, how do we phrase that?
Large energy systems shall not require upgraded utilities in a designated scenic road.
No, I don't think that's what we're trying to say, is it? So, I think the main thing is, to what Rich is saying is,
We have,
these following conditions, these aren't conditions that need to be met. We could say larger, maybe primary section uses a law, require a conditional use permit. And something else, you know, and the following,
Well, you could say large entity systems on a scenic road, do not permit. Let's see, wait a minute.
Could you say large energy systems on a scenic road are not permitted if required to upgrade the utilities?
Yeah, well, that's.
It's the same thing
it's the
that I.
same
yeah.
negative
Yeah.
though.
The, you know, maybe what we should do is take the next point, the point on the next page, and say it meets the following conditions, and instead of 14.40, make that lowercase, Roman I, solar energy systems.
I wanted to do that, but I also wanted to bring it out that you don't get one that's 20,000 square feet or greater than 20,000 square feet, just as a,
So what
Standalone.
if we just say, large solar energy systems may be primary or accessory uses on a lot, and shall require a conditional use permit,
period.
period.
Mm-hmm.
And then just have these
Yeah,
things below,
as 430 or 4,
as 430.
well, why don't we make it 431, 1431?
Oh, because of, then there's 40,
Yeah, cause 40 is just like anything above isn't really,
okay.
Well,
What if we just had 1430
Mm-hmm,
and had 1, 2, and, what was the third thing? And just made it 1, 2, and 3 and took out 40 and 50.
Well, 50, I think you wanna keep because you're now talking about the requirements for conditional use.
Oh, right,
permit.
I'm sorry, yes, so what if we
It's
just
only
took out,
two.
what if we
It's
took
only
out
two.
40 and put,
that was Rich's
Two.
point,
make it two.
that
make
was
it 2?
Rich's point.
Okay, good point, Rich.
Well, no, that's Rich Brown, I think.
A good point,
Right, the other Rich.
what,
Yeah.
whichever, Rich, good
What was your
point.
bright idea?
No, what's this, but
So the thought was, list the 20,000 foot limit first,
Uh-huh,
and then say, not on scenic roads.
uh-huh,
And that way, at least we have one, I mean, to your point, Rich,
Yeah.
at least we say one thing, the
But we're-
condition it must meet.
We're taking out meet the following conditions,
Right,
so that,
okay, all
we
right.
should put it back in if we have 2 then.
but neither,
But they don't meet.
but they're not
Oh, right, I
conditions.
see,
Yeah,
well.
But there's a 1 and 2 anyway.
Right.
Large solar energy
Yeah,
may
it's
project,
fine, just take out the.
Well, maybe
meet the following,
we
just
make
it
them,
one.
maybe we make them part of, the conditional use permit. So one thing, it can't be, you know, on a location, and then put the other one, you know, can't be greater than 20,000 square feet.
so, then that,
So just drop them down under the new
Yep.
1440.
Yep.
all right, so you wanna move those to,
Yeah, as conditions,
Mhm,
so
mhm.
1430 will just be that one sentence
right.
with no conditions?
Yep,
Mhm.
Okay, so this goes to where?
and these other 2 drop down,
14.5.
yeah, but that's now 1440.
14.4, and is that a 1, 2, and a 3?
Oh, it's at least a 2, I don't think it's
No,
a
it's
3.
a one and a two.
Yeah, it's a, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about this only large energy, cause that's not connected to
Yeah,
that.
that's just the
Okay,
the introductory thing.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
okay, to 440.
So, and I wonder if those should be a little a, I don't know, the lettering and all that.
How do you decide when it's a lowercase a or uppercase
I think
a and a little
yeah,
I?
because A is something separate and B is something separate, whereas the little i's are all, conditional, they all go together. I don't know.
And I wouldn't use Is because if you look at the rest of the zoning ordinance, you don't find that.
Is it ABCs and the rest?
It's ABCs and 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah, there
Okay.
are no Romans in here at all,
Right.
which is actually the
So
convention.
are we saying on the 14.20 that we're doing A, B, and C?
Little a, little b.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
because we don't have any Romans. they somehow removed that as a convention in New Hampshire stuff. And so I'm keeping up with you in terms of changes.
Okay.
I've got a
What
real
is
time.
the thing? Uppercase ABC, what does that mean?
You know, I don't know,
Lowercase.
do we?
Well, I was trying to, I was looking at the, affordable housing one, which I
Yeah.
think, you know, I was kind of modeling it after that,
Right.
or one of them had, you know, some other thing had the A, B, and C with the capitals. And I'm happy to change it down, but, like
Take a
special
look at
exceptions.
page 38, 39. It's a good example of how it's used all over the place, and there's no rhyme, no reason
There
to.
is no
Right,
rhyme or
yeah,
reason.
and here's setbacks, look at that.
Right.
Big.
And the, special, and, you know, lot size, you
Yeah,
got A, B,
it's-
and C, so I don't know.
I don't think it matters, really.
I think over the years, different boards have
Different boards
used
have
different
used different
things and inserted.
Yeah,
So let's keep it consistent, at
consistent.
least on this
so
one.
little a.
So little a's,
Okay,
b's,
okay,
c's
okay,
everywhere,
got it,
okay?
yep.
Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
4.1, we're gonna do small.
yes,
Yeah.
small a.
Okay.
So something
Okay,
about
and-
a foolish consistency?
If you have
Yeah,
a,
well-
computer, it does it automatically,
It's true, it's true.
very slick.
Although, I'm gonna be a stickler here and say, if we look at,
All we have to do is go back a couple more pages and then
See
you've got
something
capital.
totally different. I
looking
know.
on page 36 and 37, beginning of Article 5, there's 5.11 lot size, and it's got upper A, B, C, D.
Yeah, it's,
And then
it's
1, 2,
different all over
3.
the place.
Yeah, that's why I pointed out
I
that
think
page.
the
'cause it is-
only thing we need to do is make it consistent within this article, because we can't rewrite the whole.
Sure you can.
Well, no, it's not
Okay.
rewriting, it's just renumbering, and then,
We're
and
not
then
gonna
you
do
need
that.
to, which is a Scribner's thing, but then you have to make sure that references are
Yeah,
all
yeah.
consistent.
Right.
So it's just, it opens a different,
All right, so we got this so that it's gonna be all,
Small letters.
all letters.
And are they uppercase or lowercase?
lower.
Lower for this. No rhyme or reason, but just consistency.
1410 is uppercase, that's all, I'm just
No, we changed it.
Changing it to lower.
changing that too,
Yeah.
okay,
Yep.
all right, good.
All right, so are we done with this section?
Well, no, because we were
Okay.
gonna all come up with conditional use.
Yeah, no,
permit.
I mean, this section before the conditional use.
Yeah,
All right,
We're gonna keep 14.5, right?
well, it turns into 14.
that becomes 14.4.
Okay, well then where do we have requirements for conditional use?
That's next. Does-
Okay, so that'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
14.4.
so, that is 14.4,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, okay, got it.
All right, so are you gonna send the corrections in?
I have them, yeah,
Okay.
I'm doing real time for
Okay.
David.
All right, so, whoever wants to do this, go ahead. I mean, start on your conditional use stuff. Who wants to go first? Don't all jump in at once.
My mother died on Monday,
Oh,
and so
gosh,
I
I'm
really
so
didn't have
sorry.
time,
Was
so
that
I can only
sudden?
pull out that excuse once in my
No,
life,
that's-
so.
Was that sudden, or were you
She-
expecting it?
She took to bed 8 days earlier, so it was expected at some point, not really.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
Vicky.
well, I,
We all met your mother during the COVID peaks,
Right.
because she was there in the meeting with you.
right,
Yeah, she was outside of Philadelphia, so she.
no, she was in Lebanon, very convenient for me,
Really?
yep. And she moved up during COVID.
How old was she?
89. Yeah, so I did this on one
Well,
of my watches.
thank you for
and-
doing it,
And I didn't go any further, because I
Yeah,
didn't,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
sure. All right, somebody else have anything to say? All right, oh, go ahead.
Well, I mean, for the last meeting, I had pages 4 through 6 of, my cut and paste job from
Yep.
Keene.
Right.
And, you know, maybe those paragraphs need to be reordered or something,
Well, I think the issue was, correct me if I'm wrong, what I recall is that everybody thought, okay, we'll take these home and
Work on them.
do a hybrid if necessary, or or not. So David Robbins gave us this,
The site plan.
the site plan review with some modifications, and then Rich Mengy gave us the Keene stuff.
Right.
Right. I think, from what I can tell, D and E
What are you looking at?
right here.
Oh, all right. We should all be looking at this, just hold it up so everybody knows what you're working from.
This
You look at
is
the
Rich-
Keene cut and paste? Yeah.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, D and E are different from what David had. They're just their explanation.
All right, I don't have that piece, so D and E,
Whether we want them or not, I don't know. But
Well, I think we need to have the specifications so that, David has an accurate measurement of the panels. So I don't think he's gonna read everything, but at least part of the specifications he needs, just so that he's got
Right.
the measurement.
Yeah.
And,
And the glare, I don't,
so,
I mean, that might
okay,
be good to have.
but let me ask a question about, because at the opening statement, it says, in accordance with the submission and procedural requirements for conditional use permits set forth, we don't have that.
no, he crossed it out and said set forth below, saying that this is what you need to do.
Okay, but we're not gonna have a checklist, or this will be the checklist? How would that work?
Well, the object was to mesh these
Well,
two,
right,
but
right.
nobody did because, I have an excuse.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know why anybody else.
All right,
does.
so let me go,
I think
before,
they do mesh, except for,
well, no, they're very different. So, I mean, I think the challenge is to either go with one or the other, but if we go with go with one or the other or mesh them, but if we go only with this, we're gonna have to come up with a procedure.
yeah, and I think some of the things in what David printed out don't really, are not really pertinent.
All right, so I went over that, and, 10-4, do we need a traffic and
Right.
parking plan?
No.
We might, I don't know.
I don't think so, I mean, it's only really during, construction where we'd have any change in traffic.
Okay. And
you know.
sewage, then 10-592, sewage disposal system? I don't think,
Right,
Shouldn't
we
have
don't need
that.
that.
okay.
Fresh, I don't know if we need freshwater supply.
Uh,
Or for fire
For
protection.
fire protection, yeah. I would think so.
We do need that.
For fire protection? If it
Yeah.
catches on fire?
I think you would ask the fire department whether they feel that that's necessary.
It's really
Okay,
good.
but
So
if-
the-
It's,
So we would just have that in the departmental section?
yeah, I think that's, it would be up to the fire department to comment that they want a water supply, because I'm not sure how flammable these systems really are.
I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
But
there's nothing to burn on the pan. I mean,
Well, if there are trees nearby and it jumps.
Like, I mean, I don't know. So, I mean, a simplifying factor would be if we could say, you just have to submit a site plan, an application as if for a site plan review. And you can waive, certain things can be, are automatically waived, like a traffic and parking plan and a septic
Right.
plan. And other things as, it can be waived as necessary.
We waive stuff all the time.
Yeah, but that's in site plan, you don't waive stuff in zoning.
Oh, this would be, a CUP would be considered,
It's a zoning ordinance, and so you have to, you just,
right, so it's
You don't
not,
have the
the
flexibility.
CUP doesn't have its own, right.
But I'm trying not to write an entire,
I understand.
I'm trying
Yeah.
not to write
Exactly.
yeah.
3 more pages of text into the ordinance.
I get you, that's one of the reasons why nobody sat down and typed, I'm sure, today.
That's the other reason, yes. But, if we
Okay,
said you must have a site plan that addresses all the things that we already have written out, you have a nice one sentence. For a solar energy system, parking, septic, these other things are
Okay, I would say,
automatically waived.
I would say unless the planning board deems necessary parking, because it may be that for some reason you need, we might find we need parking or we need
yeah, I
septic.
wouldn't necessarily, if we're gonna do it that way, then give whatever planning board the prerogative, there's no harm in that.
Yeah, but I would use it only if the planning board wants it, because I can't imagine, but it might be that we need it.
Well, it's the hot dog stand that's using all the energy coming off these
Yeah.
panels or something.
Yeah, well, I
Right.
mean, I don't know, it could be big
Yeah.
enough that there's a caretaker that that is there,
Well, the point is it gives the board flexibility and there's nothing onerous involved in it.
Yeah, I guess, okay, so I can imagine somebody's got their solar farm and they have a whole herd of goats and everything's fenced and the goats go in and chomp all this stuff, so they don't have to mow it.
Mhm.
And then the goats go back to the barn, and so they need electricity, they need, the water, you can imagine a situation, and there's a caregiver who has a flush toilet to take care of the goats, I don't know.
Well, I guess, I can't, the point is that we can't imagine every scenario, and just leaving that open is
Yeah,
not.
that's why I think we should have, just a catch for some of those things, the traffic, the parking, the septic, may be required at the discretion of the planning board.
Yeah,
And there's probably others, but I
yeah.
don't know what they are yet.
Well, there are others that are unlikely, there's that,
Fuel storage and air conditioning.
Yeah,
cooling
exactly.
towers.
and, those are the obvious ones anyway. So how do we, if we're gonna reference, we would assign, this is a question. We would say, follow the requirements of site plan review. But then, how would we mesh that with what Rich Mengy gave us here?
Are there things, I apologize that I don't have this already correlated, but are there things in the Keene document that are not in or
You know what?
substantially different from our site plan?
That's a good question, and why don't we go through that now? We can go through it all together so that we're all not sitting at home doing this. That's, okay, so let's start with a detailed plan set and signed, stamped, I'm sure that's in here somewhere. I seem to recall that. Is there a detailed plan thing in here?
Yes, if you look down at, where are we? Oop, too far. 10.5, site plan general map.
Application of the board, shall be accompanied with map drawing to the scale.
Should be at the bottom of page 1,
Yeah,
although I think the one I sent you had some extra spaces in it.
but there's a stamp, does it say stamp?
Doesn't.
I thought we had a.
Well, it references, I don't feel strongly that everything that's in the Keene ordinance needs to
No.
be here, so I mean.
If it makes sense, it should.
Yeah, and, we're already happy with the drawings we get from people for site plan review, so.
10.5.6, the seal of any professional or firm preparing the site plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would cover it, right?
Mhm.
Well, it wouldn't get you an engineered plan.
Okay,
Well,
no, that's,
and do we care? I mean,
I think they care.
Yeah,
really, okay.
Yeah, cause
For a
you could
large
be a
system,
surveyor that did the plan and not
Right.
an engineer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, so that's, let's just circle that with the engineer. We're gonna need to reference that.
I know an architect that submits wetlands applications in the town of Hanover, and it's like, that's not appropriate at all.
Right.
So, just because they're a professional in one,
Right,
yeah.
so, all right, let's go on to one, existing site conditions and features, including but not limited to. Do we have that?
Um,
10.5.8 carries a lot of that. And 5.9,
Okay, so let's go to the site conditions and features, including but not limited to topography, surface waters, woodland areas, 100-year floodplain, steep slopes, soils, property boundaries, zoning district boundaries, existing structures and roads.
Not exactly the same, but
Remember that we've been content with substantially this list.
Yeah, it's just that this is a different use.
Alright.
Well, do we need a topographic?
I don't know.
I think we should, I mean, it's good baseline information to get a sense of the, project area.
and in this day and age, being able to create, topography map for any lot in Lyme can be done very easily.
So.
Right, and if somebody's putting up a 10,000 or 20,000 square foot solar array, it's
They're
not,
gonna have that anyway.
they're gonna have that anyway, it's not,
So-
it's not like they're just putting up their garage and they just, look, they just wanna do it on the back of an envelope.
Yeah, no, this is something, but, you know, the data is out there for the LiDAR data, you can create contours of it without.
Yep.
So it may be easier for us, rather than saying, oh, we don't want these things unless we require it, and we do want these additional things, and, you know, just to change the site plan regulations, to have something stamped by a licensed engineer and to add topography to this. Because all we need to do is have a public hearing to change these. So just put them in here, and then talk about the exemptions in the proposed article.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it could be easier just to go at it that way.
so Vicky, you're saying make the whole site plan regulation cover,
Right, so
So
we add
cover everything,
topography
and
if we
then-
don't have it in here, and then we add the New Hampshire licensed engineer thing if we don't have it in here. You know, just to get that to be the same as what we,
okay,
you
but
know.
do we need the licensed engineer for normal,
Yeah, but we can waive it,
okay,
we can waive it in the site plan, but here we're requiring it,
right.
because it's conditional use permit, we don't, yeah.
yeah, well, I guess that makes sense, it would just mean that we have to waive more stuff, you know, for a lot
When,
of the
for a
stuff.
lot, for
Yeah,
a site
but
plan,
this would be
yeah, but right
okay,
now
I
we've got
guess.
2 more things,
All right, so let me ask
not
you
that
this
many.
question, would we be saying with these added things, if it's an SES, then we require this, or it would just be a general thing?
It would be generally in here,
Okay.
and people who are doing a normal site plan would say, oh, I don't need a licensed engineer, there's nothing here that requires that, or I really don't need topography. They would come and get a waiver for their site plan, but.
Yeah, because at every site plan review we do, we end up waiving
Yeah, yeah,
numerous.
So
Right,
we just might waive more, that's all.
We'll just
Right.
waive more.
okay, so
that's
far
it.
there's only 2 things, so it's
The
not that.
topography and the New Hampshire licensed engineer.
Okay, so topographic intervals are required under 10.6 already, so we can cross out topography, already asked for that.
All right, so now we just
Okay.
have the engineer.
Right,
Okay, so number 2, proposed site conditions including but not limited to the footprint of the SES, equipment and components, as well as any affiliated installations and structures, access points, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
So that would have to go in and then just get waived if it's not a SES.
well, no, because we ask for a proposed, I mean, we say what existing and proposed utilities, and then we have
what number is
Okay,
that?
so if we, so 10.5.9 is existing and proposed utilities, this is what David said before.
Right.
And 10.5.8 talks about sidewalks, parking spaces, loading areas, driveways, which is what this is getting at.
But does it require anywhere in here that the footprint and of the
It's
equipment?
interesting,
Well-
it says all existing and proposed buildings, but this might be a structure.
Correct,
Yeah,
it is a structure,
yeah,
but is it a utility? Cause
Yeah.
electrical lines, equipment, phone, communication lines, fuel storage, well, why don't we just put it in 10.5.9, that solar energy systems need to be shown.
so what number, 10.5.9.8?
We say electrical lines and equipment, so this would be 10.5.9.3, including solar energy systems, because it's an electrical thing. So, electrical lines and
Sure.
equipment, including,
Including large,
yes,
Right.
And how about the footprint?
they,
I think you need it.
yeah,
Where was that
definitely.
page?
10.5.9.3,
We definitely need, because that's at the heart of what we're doing here, is measuring the footprint.
Right.
well then, why don't we go to 10.5.8, the location, area, and dimensions of all existing and proposed buildings, structures, driveways,
Oh, so add.
just add it there.
Add structures.
Yeah, yeah,
Should we say including SES,
No.
large SES?
no,
No? Okay, but,
Okay.
so what about where we do say, we do take out, we say definitively that, or we did at one point, that roof mounted is not a structure.
Right.
So is that,
be hard to get, a large one.
right,
On a
right,
roof.
right. Well,
Yeah,
what
I
it,
think,
what it,
You'd have to have a
Well-
pretty big building.
yeah, well, okay, the school, possibly, or Green Mountain Studios,
yeah,
I mean,
or if you had,
why do we wanna, why don't we, do we wanna review if it's roof mounted? I don't think we wanna review that, even if it's large. I don't know,
I
maybe
don't
we
know,
do.
I don't know,
Right, I don't think, no,
we don't.
we don't.
I don't think, and
I thought anything roof was not being reviewed.
That's what we, yeah, that's the
Right, right.
question, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I don't
so,
think we need, plus I don't think it's gonna happen anyway.
Okay.
large would need to have,
Well, like the
Like-
Wagner Woodlands farm, that, I don't know whether that qualifies as large, but.
I
well,
don't
if it's
think
over
it's
20,000 square feet, it is.
but
Well,
it's
it's over
2,000.
two.
larger than two.
I mean,
less
I'm
than
sorry,
20.
larger than two, yeah.
Yeah, it probably is.
So that might, and I don't, do we wanna review those such things?
Well, we already call large as a ground mounted, it says in the definition for
Okay,
large, it's
so
a
that
ground
takes care of
mounted.
that,
Yeah,
okay.
If you even think, Wagner, if it's over 2,000, does anyone really notice that it's there?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think that that was the intent, I thought
No.
anything roof mounted
No,
was,
I don't, I think the intent was to exempt them.
yeah.
Okay. So, do we have number 2 covered? Cause let me just read it. Proposed site conditions including but not limited to the footprint of the solar energy system equipment. So we're saying that by adding structure,
yeah,
we're
Yeah.
covering that.
location and dimensions,
Where's location and dimensions?
in 10.5.8,
Right here.
location,
Okay,
area,
okay.
and dimensions.
So that would cover, as well as the footprint of the solar energy system and components, as well as any affiliated installations, structures, access points, drive access, aisles, security features, and fencing.
Well, we have driveways in here,
Okay, so what about access and drive aisles, security features?
Well, we're gonna ask them to show us aren't we requiring fencing? We were gonna require fencing, so that should be a condition of
Yeah,
approval,
not higher than 8 feet.
right? Remember we were gonna have that?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
David might have added it in here somewhere.
Yeah, I think with his bold stuff,
Perimeter, well, it says
Yeah.
perimeter and/or security fencing shall have a maximum height. It
Right.
doesn't say it's required.
That's right, that's it.
And I don't, were we requiring it? At one point I know we were. I think we went back and forth on that.
I mean, I think we wanna have the ability to
Right.
require it. I think anybody who's, well, it depends on how big it is, but if it's 2,500 square feet, maybe the person would not want a fence, but if it's getting on the 20,000 square feet, I think they're gonna wanna protect their investment.
So if we,
for the fence.
in 11.1.3, we could say perimeter and/or security fencing may be required and shall have a maximum height of 8 feet.
yeah,
Now, this is just, gonna be used, this checklist is, or this application is for all site plan review projects.
Right.
So we're adding something that is now, for all projects, we're saying fencing may be required?
Well,
yes.
that's what, yeah, I mean, that's the problem with this.
And it, but it
Well,
can
there's
be
no-
waived if.
I don't think there's any problem with it at all. I mean, if we're only screening or fencing storage areas, waste collection areas, satellite dishes, and service areas, there's other commercial, non-residential uses that we may wanna have fenced or screened.
Well, yeah, I mean, we already, as I recall, in the site plan reviews in the past, we've required, I can't remember fencing, but we've certainly required screening and shielding.
Where?
Visually.
Lyme, there was screening around the dumpsters,
Right.
was required.
Yeah, well, that's a waste collection area.
Yep.
So, but I'm just talking about there are other parts of a facility that may need to be screened and not just storage areas, waste collection areas, satellite dishes, and service areas.
Well, for example, I mean, if you had 20,000 square feet of solar panels, I think you could make a strong argument that that's none of those.
Yes, it is none of those,
Right.
yeah. And I think whatever, so I would say perimeter screening and or security fencing may be required and shall have a maximum height of 6 feet.
8 feet it says here.
8 feet, sorry. So
Is everybody okay with that?
perimeter screening,
Yeah.
cause I
It
think there's a
may be
difference.
required.
Yep, may be required and shall have a maximum height of 8 feet.
So should we just make that apply only to solar energy systems?
No, because there might be other things that aren't really that pleasant. I mean, junkyards are supposed to be screened from public roads, but the neighbor may wanna be screened.
So Vicky, we're gonna add that sentence to what's there?
Well, that's
No,
what
it's already- David already- see this?
David already
Yeah.
flagged
So
that.
the proposal, though, is to add this. This was,
Yes,
Right.
yes,
David
yes.
added this
Right.
just now,
Yeah.
And now we're adding that extra
It was-
word.
I added that, anything in bold was from Tim's.
Yep,
Yep.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay, and by the way, under citing 11.1.4, solar energy systems shall be cited. Okay, so does that cover as well as any affiliated installation, structures, access points, drive access, aisle, security features, and fencing? Or should I just go through them one at a
Yes.
time?
I think that's fine.
I think it's fine too.
Okay, so let's go to 3. The limits of any land clearing and or grading required for the installation and operation of the solar system, as well as any erosion and sediment control measures to be installed during or after construction. I'm pretty sure we have stuff.
You have sediment control down near the bottom. There should be a whole,
Yeah, it's on 10.6.
yeah.
10.6?
Yep, 10.6.
6, and we have something about, does that have the? We have sediment control here. I
Well,
know.
erosion control is kind of the same thing, I mean, you're keeping things from being,
Okay, so we're good with
becoming
that?
erosion, yes,
Okay.
and becoming sediment.
Okay, then 4, a landscape plan that includes the location of existing vegetation to be preserved, details on the location dimensions, composition of any visual buffers on the site, and information on the proposed location, number, type, and size at planting and maturity of any replacement or proposed vegetation and ground cover on the site.
If you look at 10.512, that's the landscaping plan, you may wanna add some,
There's also 11.1.12 landscaping.
Hold on, 11, oh, I said 11.112. Which one, Rich?
It's,
Harmonious and what aesthetic development?
no, it's
Oh.
before Article 12, just, I don't have page numbers here.
It's the last-
So
last page.
what's the leading,
It's the last
underline?
page, it looks like it's the last page,
Next to last page.
11.1.12, yeah, that's the one right there.
Oh, I see.
I think that's
No, I'm
what
looking at-
Dave Robbins,
Yeah.
Oh, I see,
Yes.
Dave added
Yeah.
that, yes.
oh, I'm sorry, that should have been a 13, not a 12.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I was gonna say that.
Okay, so landscaping, if landscaping is used to provide a visual buffer, that's the one? It shall provide year-round, but this says if landscaping, so,
Again, I took it directly from Tim's, so. that's-
right,
Yeah, yeah.
so we would need to change that wording.
It's a landscaping may be
The limits
required.
Well, we can just, look. It says a landscape plan that shall be required. And shall be required and shall,
Like, we already have it on, 10.5.12 landscaping plan,
so do we
it's
need,
already there.
so do we need, landscaping plan including buffering plans along adjacent properties and public access plan to include consideration surrounding.
That's fine, and then the landscaping standards are 11.1.13, this, if you have landscaping, it needs to do this.
Okay, so then the wording, existing wording is good,
Yeah,
fantastic,
I think we're good.
well done, David.
Okay.
Okay, then we go on to 4B, elevation drawings drawn to scale. I can't imagine, I recall
Yeah,
that.
we must have.
Well, Ray gave us elevation plans for his project.
Yeah, but here they're being required. Standards and requirements.
well, under 10.7, there's building layout plans, and that talks about, the second sentence, the shape, size, dimensions, elevation, and location of existing and proposed
Yeah.
structures on the property.
Good job, the
Yeah.
elevation is in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
It's just
And
proposed
elevation
structures,
of all
not just
proposed-
buildings.
Yep.
okay, good.
So are we gonna get into an issue, are these structures? The ground mounted?
Yes, they are.
Do we say anywhere that these are considered structures?
I don't think we do. I mean,
It'd
it's
be
not in
very-
the definitions.
It would be very easy to,
Prove that they're structures.
well, if you look at the paragraph on structures,
All right.
in the definitions, you could very easily add solar energy systems.
That's a
and
good idea,
Yeah, it's unclear.
It would just,
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
it's
I mean-
certainly, to me, reading the definition of structures, I
Well,
would not exclude them.
We wouldn't need to add anything. A structure is anything constructed or erected with a fixed
Yeah,
location
yeah.
on, above, or below the
Yeah,
ground.
that's clearly.
Self-evident,
that's-
right?
To me, it's very clear that that
That's
is
why
a
we said
structure.
roof mounted was not a structure.
Well, yeah, but it includes, but it's not limited to a building, a recreational vehicle, manufactured housing, septic system, well, storage tank, swimming pool, billboard, satellite antenna with 3-foot diameter or more, dock, tennis court, and like structures.
I think that's fine.
But I can't, I mean, it's pretty clear that a solar panel that's, you know,
Yeah, I mean, if we
has
look
any
at,
significant
So-
size, it's gonna be a structure.
Here's a question, and it can be asked either way. Is there any reason to add it, or is there any reason not to add it? I mean, it just makes it absolutely crystal clear if we add
yeah,
it.
I agree,
I mean, you could, in that section where it says, you know, structure includes but is not limited to
right, just
Add
Solar energy system.
solar energy systems
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, I think it's good to make it more clear, you know.
Why not?
Now, the last sentence in the definition of structure says, for flood management purposes, structure also means any walled and roofed buildings. What are our thoughts about locating solar panels within a flood area?
Well, they would have to,
they would have to meet the floodplain standards.
right,
Which would pretty much mean they would have to be flood-proofed, meaning you would have to raise them, you know, they have to be anchored well, certified by the engineer.
welcome to the show, welcome to Slaggers, and,
And I would definitely have to make a call into the state to talk to the people who manage the flood.
Well, it's displacement, so the post would be displacing part of the,
Yeah, which is why I would have to call the state and say, how do you want me to deal with such things?
no, they don't go in the floodplain. There's conduit, you're not supposed to have any kind of underground utilities in the floodplain either, so.
I think you would find, that it's just not acceptable.
Well,
Really?
if you read the flood stuff, it wouldn't be allowed.
so, can we can, that's, my takeaway is that's not something we need to address. It's already addressed by the floodplain,
I believe it's addressed by the floodplain ordinance.
because anybody who wants to do something in the floodplain ordinance has to go through the process of getting approval. And things are, like, septic systems go into the floodplain if there's no other place to put them.
Yeah, but they have to be done, there's, again, more standards.
If they're done that way.
Yeah.
So if somebody could demonstrate that they wanna put up their solar systems, but they don't have any place on their property except the floodplain, then they would go to the zoning board for either, for a variance or.
Well, I would first look at, again, I would have to call the state, talk to them. They have a floodplain manager because I don't deal with the floodplains very often. And so, I would want them to give me, what the state's going to require and what FEMA's gonna require. I can't answer that without talking to them right now.
And they're gonna know the answer, you call them up.
Oh, no, they'll put it off and try to contact FEMA and put it up the
Well,
chain.
but somebody knows the answer, I wanna put up 10,000 square feet of solar panels in the floodplain.
Right.
And I'm gonna drill them into the ground, and I'm gonna have the bottom of the panel above the flood elevation.
Yeah,
No, you still have the concrete that's set in and the post, and that's displacement.
And the
Well,
conduit.
but the displacement's like trees, so that's not.
I mean, they could do.
Well, no, it's very different than trees. I mean, trees are actually act as part of that system.
Well,
This is an inert,
But if they're just drilling these things into the ground, I mean, they could probably with a dump truck provide, take out dump trucks worth of dirt and provide compensatory storage.
Okay, so the question for us, do we want
So-
to say you can't put it in the floodplain?
I don't know, I think you should, perhaps.
You should what?
I think it might be an allowable use.
Yeah, so we don't,
If the panels themselves are not gonna
right,
float away during a,
I mean,
No, but that's the problem, is that if they get knocked over and then
Mhm.
start floating away, then they're a
Yeah.
hazard and they
Yeah, this
wreck
is
people's
true.
property. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you
So-
keep
You
stuff
have
out
a
of the
log
flood.
come down
right,
along with the flood,
Mhm.
it starts,
yeah.
it hits broadside to all your
sure, right.
supports, you're gonna start having, that's,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are people that think about this stuff a lot, and presumably it's FEMA kinds of people. But they know the answer to this, and so if they say it's okay, I just assume not make changes to our ordinance based on maybe, possibly, perhaps that's a
yeah,
problem.
that's my question,
Just
do we need to deal with it? It
tell you
seems,
what, on the 26th, I'm meeting with the floodplain director of FEMA out of Boston,
Cool. Mhm.
and I can ask him the question.
okay, good,
So David, it's
Yeah.
impossible now to build a house in the floodplain, right?
No,
Really? You just don't get insurance maybe?
well, no, there are certain, it has to be flood-proof. And as you say, if it's,
You mean raised up? but not-
right, there's a certain amount of, basically water that builds up behind an immovable object.
Yeah.
So you have to, as floodproofing, you have to make it so that that can move through without causing water to back up behind it. So there are ways of doing it. It just has to meet those criteria.
Interesting.
Right. And they may be uneconomical, in which case people don't do it, but.
And if you look down on Maple Lane, to Maple Lane, you'll notice that the backside of the house has basically panels in it that pop out, that if water gets up too high, it pops them in. The basement floods, the house is built up, so it's above the floodplain, and then, yep, right, it's just where the bridge is.
is that the red, with the red,
Yep,
the
That
red
white one,
highlights?
Little cottage that they just boosted up.
Yep.
Yeah,
So it has to be above the floodplain, the structure has to be.
right, it has
above
to
the
be a foot above the, what's called the base flood elevation, which is what FEMA has determined is the 100-year flood elevation.
which is now the 10-year flood.
That's a
1-year
different
flood.
problem, right.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should move on.
Yeah,
because I
Okay.
think-
So in any case, David, you can get some clarity for
Yeah, I
us.
can talk to them
Okay,
on,
and then we can
the 26th.
finalize that at the next meeting. Okay, so are we done with 4? I thought,
elevation drainage report, I mean, oh, yes, the landscaping, we're done, I think we got to elevation,
elevation, yeah, we have those in there, right?
right?
Yeah.
Drainage report, didn't we already
I
address
think
that?
there's some, yes.
Okay.
Yep, there's drainage and erosion.
Manufacturer's specifications for all proposed equipment.
that we definitely is,
So we'll
I
put that
require
in.
that for any
Yeah.
solar installation.
So is that in here anywhere?
No.
No.
Okay, so let's add that. Where would that go?
Well, why don't we just put it in the zoning ordinance? That's a requirement, and it will only bother,
Okay,
people who are getting, solar energy systems, rather than
Mhm.
having to bother the people about it.
okay, so where would that go in our,
In 14.40, it could be C,
God, I gotta find
okay, and I'll just add it
Hold on.
right in there.
14.40,
Yep. Manufacturer's specifications
I'm just trying to find this piece of paper.
for all proposed equipment.
6.
Okay, so now we have a C.
Mhm.
Okay, 14.4C, and what
Yep.
does it say?
Same thing that,
Oh, okay.
that says at Keene.
Manufacturers. And that's 4D key. Okay. All right, and then E, a statement detailing potential significant glare onto abutting structures and roadways, estimating the interactions, blah, 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 blah.
I think we have to put that in there because we do have exterior lighting standards, but it's for exterior lighting, it's not for shiny things or things that might be shiny certain times of the day, so I think we need to have that.
So where would that go?
I would go 14.40 D.
Okay. D would be keen for E. Glare, okay?
Seems like if a solar panel is creating glare for an adjacent structure, it's doing it wrong. It should be
Yeah.
pointing at the sky.
It also shouldn't be reflecting light, it should be absorbing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I agree.
Well, I mean, if it's tipped this way,
I don't see how it could,
the physics don't work that way,
no,
yeah.
angle of incidence equals angle of reflection.
So do we wanna do that?
Well,
It seems like
They do
most of
glare.
the solar things
Have that?
have something about
Yeah,
glare.
I noticed that too. All right, well, there's no harm.
You know, the other towns, I don't,
I mean, we're asking for a statement,
Yeah,
so they say.
they can say,
You're
it's not gonna
crazy,
be a
that's not
problem.
gonna happen,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
I mean, they probably won't say you're crazy, but yes.
Oh,
And you also do have, you know, the framing around the panels that could cause,
Mhm.
you know, if it's, you know, aluminum
stainless steel,
or
yeah.
stainless steel, there could be,
Yeah.
I don't think this is a harmful.
right, I was gonna say, you know, you may get some glare from other than just the
Right,
panels.
right. I don't think it's
No, it just seems.
not much of an issue, but it's not gonna hurt.
seems-
Well, I think it's some people's issue, the neighbors.
Well, that,
and
that has come up a lot
Yes,
in meetings,
yes.
is about the glare, so.
Yep.
it
If you
will
put
have-
it in and,
It'll be reassuring.
yeah,
Estimates of any equipment noise on the site based on, don't we, I think we have that, don't we? Cause I remember that from the Lyme in. Or maybe we didn't have it, and that was a problem.
No, I wanted, for their HVAC and the
Right.
fan hood to have, noise readings for that, because it was right near where people walk.
Well, that's, I mean, that's a potential problem for people if they live near there, or they're walking near there.
Yeah,
So what do we wanna say? You just wanna add this to,
what equipment noise would we expect?
I don't know.
Well, I have a telephone box across the street from my house and it hums, so, I mean, what would you get from a telephone, you know?
Well, would they, pretty much any
Communications, so,
kind of,
anything
transformer
has
has-
humming and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So do we wanna have anything in there?
I think you should.
Okay,
yeah, I think, you know.
so add it to E. E is noise.
I'm assuming that you're going to have some sort of transformer
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
some point in time. I don't know what the panels, you know, you'll have the inverters that create your AC voltage, and then if you're stepping it up to a line voltage, you're gonna have transformers on site to do that. And it may just be a pole mounted one, such as you see
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
out at the regular road, but it could be a large, one sitting on a pedestal or a pad. And it could,
And I think we just asked for an estimate of the noise.
right,
I don't.
Okay, so, and then there's this, conditions of approval. The planning board may impose conditions on a solar energy system conditional use permit to the extent the board concludes such conditions are necessary to minimize any adverse effect of the proposed use on adjoining properties and to preserve the intent of the zoning standards.
Umbrella.
That's like a catch-all.
Yeah.
I would
Do we-
put that on in the zoning. Yeah,
Do we want that?
well,
I
I think
would.
we do.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, so this would go,
Yeah.
and where would this go?
it would go,
1440,
I don't cover anything we forgot.
Okay, 1440, and this would be F?
seems
Uh,
like it's a good last one, whenever we get to a last one,
Okay,
cause we might put something else in there.
you mean its own section,
No, it's
The
just.
last item in the
Last
The last
item.
item in that
Yes.
section.
or, okay. conditions of approval, Keen. All right. So, all we have, the only added notes I have is, add the SES to structures, and David's gonna check out the floodplain thing. And then we get to the, to the second page of this thing. Good God. All right.
So we've covered a lot of these.
Yeah, so we may not need to do all this. So review criteria. In addition to the site development standard, or site, let's say site plan review standards and article blah, 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 the planning board shall consider the following criteria when deciding whether to grant the large.
Okay, so we're not gonna do anything about parcel size,
Right,
and solar footprint, ground mounted, not.
So in terms of the parcel size, the limitations on the solar size is based on the impervious area allowed, or the development area allowed for that particular lot. That's how it,
Yes.
It's a percentage of the size of the lot, right?
Yeah, well, that's, the lot coverage is a percentage of the lot up to 26,000 square feet.
Right.
So your 20,000 square feet, you know, if you have a maximum size lot, then you'll be able to do 25,000 or 20,000 square feet of solar panels. If you have a lot that's a lot smaller, then the dimensional controls won't allow you to
Right.
put it. So it's,
okay.
you're not going to be able to take a small lot that, or let's say a lot that's 25,000 square feet,
Put 20,000.
and put 20,000 square feet of solar
Right.
panels on it.
Yeah. You're gonna need 23 acres of buildable lot to get 2%.
So it feels to me like we ought to have
12% is what
some
the
mention
lot
of that
coverage
in
number is.
our,
what's that, what's that, David?
You're, I believe the way that you said this is that you're allowed up to 2,000 or 20,000 square feet of footprint.
Right.
So you would be looking at the total lot coverage of the lot, having over, the 20,000 square feet available.
Right.
So that you're allowing the footprint to be what's normally considered the maximum footprint. You're saying, all right, for solar, we allow a greater amount of
Oh, really?
footprint.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was my understanding.
Huh.
But you're limiting the total,
Can't be over the
20,000.
20,000.
Wait,
Right.
wait, David, so you can have 20,000 of panels, but the actual footprint would be a lot bigger, because you got space between, right?
no, the footprint is, you only have defined it as the panels.
Okay, so.
So you
The
have
actual
20,
coverage could be more, so, yeah.
well, no, the lot coverage would be what.
The lot coverage
panel.
would be less.
Your lot coverage does not include space between
Right.
panels. So your area that you clear, your development area, which is not in the zoning, which is not touched by the zoning, could be
Big-
greater.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
it could be greater, yeah. So what you actually see could be much bigger than 20,000 square feet, right?
Right,
But as far as lot coverage,
So-
that's not counted.
right. So the only thing that's counted is structures, and
My understanding of this was we were exempting this, basically saying, you may not be allowed this lot coverage for other things, but for this large solar energy system, you are. Or is that, or am I misunderstanding that?
well, again, maybe I'm misunderstanding. My thought was that you still needed to meet the underlying dimensional controls for, you know, again, I'm gonna look at, you have two different
I see.
numbers.
No, I see, I'm mixing it up with the smaller systems
Yeah.
where.
Lot coverage is the aggregate of all your buildings.
Yeah.
So you're saying you can have 20,000 square feet of footprint for
Yeah.
solar panels,
Panel size.
but your lot needs to be big enough
Right,
to handle that lot coverage.
Right,
Yeah,
Two different numbers,
right, and they're tied together in a rural district, that's 2%.
and,
Am I
I think
right?
it's 6% or 12%, I'd have to.
Well, okay.
It feels to me like we should have something about, we should address that in this Article 14.
Address what?
12%.
it means a limit,
Yeah, how this is being considered, so, because we're confused
yeah,
ourselves right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
yeah, I
It's
just
only
really
gonna get more
confused myself.
confusing afterwards,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and one way to look at it,
like the
because
first time an applicant
is
comes
how
in.
Right.
big would, if you put a fence around it, how big would that fence area be? And that
Well,
would be your.
but that's not what we say.
Right, that's not what we
That
said.
is not
I'm
what
just
we
saying-
said.
Right,
I'm just saying.
So, yeah,
That's
so,
what-
so we're having two conflicting thoughts here. One thought was, we don't wanna address that. And then the other thought is, well, we do wanna address it.
Well, no, I think the question is, and I'm waiting for David to say, if you, the numbers I did, if the lot coverage, the maximum lot coverage you can have is 2%
2%.
in the rural district.
The maximum footprint is 2%.
Right. Okay, so that's just the panel size.
The maximum footprint is 2%, and the lot coverage is,
12%.
How are they calculated separately for the ignorant?
A footprint is a building footprint, so
Yep.
you have a house
Yep.
and a separate garage.
Yep,
Each building has a footprint.
yep,
The aggregate of those footprints
Yep.
makes your lot coverage. So you add the house and the garage together, the footprints, and that's your lot coverage.
Right. Any building, yeah.
Well, wait a minute though.
but so
But
the
in per-
footprint,
in-
the aggregate footprint is the same thing as the
That
lot
would be the same thing, but it's
coverage.
also, isn't it also impermeable?
Well, the footprint, you know, it does count some of the impermeable surfaces.
Yeah, so that would be a distinction between footprint and lot coverage, it'd be footprint plus impermeable surfaces.
Well, you'd have a footprint of an impermeable surface.
So is there any distinction between the two?
I don't see one at all.
So then why are we,
How does a paved driveway count?
depends on where.
It depends on where. If it's in the rural district, it doesn't count. If it's in the Lyme Common or Lyme Center, it does.
So when you, but why are you not agreeing about 2% versus 12%?
I don't know. Because
I'm looking at table 510, and under rural district, maximum building footprint is 2% and maximum lot coverage is 12%. There is no argument of,
But
so I was mistaken.
But the footprint, the aggregate footprint and the aggregate is the
Oh.
same thing as the lot coverage. So
So
how is the footprint of being 2% there?
so let's say you have a
You mean
house.
only one house, that's a single unit can be no more than 2%?
Right,
Yes,
so let's say you have a house that's 13,000 square feet and a garage that's 13,000 square feet. Together they make 26,000, which is the absolute maximum lot coverage. So
Lot
you're
coverage.
allowed as many buildings that do not exceed 2% as you can put
So
on a
that's
lot.
the key,
and-
that's the key,
that's
is
the
that
key.
each
Right.
individual can
Yeah.
only be 2%.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
so,
That's the missing piece.
yeah.
All right, so let's.
And just so that everyone knows this, it's based on a 5-acre lot.
so I'm
And this was
calculating,
originally figured out as
Oh,
26,000
you mean
square
the
feet
feet.
is
Okay, suppose
basically just a little under
Okay,
12% of a 5-acre lot.
but let's go back to what we were trying to do.
right.
So, Rich Mengy, you were concerned that we weren't having a limit.
well, I'm just concerned that I think we should define how, yeah, we should define what the limit is, cause, I mean, 2% on a 5-acre lot is 4,356 square feet. So you can't build 20,000 square foot.
But that's where I
panel.
thought we were exempt,
That's was
We
my
were
understanding too, that
exempting
you're saying that,
and that's where I was getting confused.
Oh.
We're exempting these large
Right,
solar energy systems from
the
the
footprint,
footprint.
but you still have to meet the lot,
Okay.
and I think that,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, is we should actually spell that out here.
Okay.
because then, that way you're not going to, if you exempt it from both, then you can have a very small lot
Right.
that is completely covered with solar panels, so
Okay,
you
that,
want
we
to.
obviously need to say that.
So if you have multiple panels that go to the 20,000, is each panel a footprint?
Each panel has a footprint.
But it's cumulative footprint, and
Right.
it's defined as
So
cumulative.
no one panel is likely to be larger than the maximum allowed footprint on a parcel,
2%.
the 2%. But, and so you can have bunches of
So
them,
you could put six,
you could put six
six
or.
2% panels.
2%, yes, right.
As
Well, I
long
think
as it
that's-
didn't exceed, and correct me if I'm wrong, the lot coverage.
Yeah, well, that's where I think you need to be,
We need to spell
clarify
that
this,
out.
that because, again, you know, under the large, it only speaks to the footprint. And so if you had a 20,000 square foot lot,
So,
under this B, you would be allowed 20,000 square feet of,
so where is that?
Setbacks, don't we have setbacks though?
okay, so you have a 25,000 square foot.
That doesn't, so, all right, where in the, in our new article, do we address the 20,000 square feet?
I think it should
Too
go
many
in,
pieces of paper here. We address it in the definitions,
Yes.
right? In a large energy solar system, solar energy that is ground mounted with a cumulative footprint larger than 2,000 square feet, but less than 20, the system may be composed of one or more set panels and must conform with lot coverage requirements.
Footprint requirement,
No, we already defined
coverage. Oh, I
the
see.
footprint.
I see.
Would that make sense, David?
yes,
Okay, and must conform,
So this is
B,
B, okay.
and must conform with lot coverage requirements. Requirements or regulations or what?
requirements.
Isn't that true of small solar energy systems as well? That it needs to conform to the,
Yes, it does, because if you're,
Okay, so we'll add it there as well.
because if you have a ground mounted system,
it's gotta conform.
On a third of an acre.
So in B, shouldn't we put solar energy systems must conform with lot coverage requirements and may not be larger than 20,000 square feet, something like that? Just in terms of,
Okay.
just in terms of,
So say it again?
just putting the lot coverage.
Just say
Okay.
it again.
Solar energy systems must conform with lot coverage requirements and may.
Well, wait a
be
second,
no
because what
larger
it says is,
than
are we
20,000
talking
square
about
feet.
B?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so a
Oh,
solar
oh.
energy system that is
Oh, okay.
ground mounted with a cumulative footprint larger than 2,000 square feet, but less than 20,000 square feet, must what?
I'm not in the definition section, I was down in another section, I was in the conditional use section, B.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm just saying that it's a requirement for the conditional use, right? So I thought solar energy systems must this is BB.
Okay,
Solar energy systems
I
must
don't, you gotta slow down,
You
because
should not. Okay.
okay, so we're not adding it to B.
Not to that B, but add it to 14.40B.
Okay, now I gotta find.
Yeah, I agree with you, it takes it out of the definition.
Yeah, you shouldn't have regulations in the
Right.
definitions.
Yep.
So 1440B,
Yep,
can I just interject?
yes, you
Yeah.
may. Oh,
I would personally love to see it in 514 and 515, where you have building footprint and maximum lot coverage. Because you have your special exception, or exceptions, for senior housing added in there.
okay, so that's an additional change, right?
Yeah.
okay, so let's put it in B, what's the language, 14.4B?
Solar energy systems must conform with lot coverage requirements and systems larger than 20,000 square feet are not allowed.
Okay, so you're gonna send that to David?
Yes, I've got it in here, I'll send the whole thing to David. And then you want to have 5.41, this is an additional change, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so amend section 5.41. And what,
5.41 or 5.14?
5.14.
sorry,
zoning
5.14,
footprint. And it doesn't really,
5.14.
I would love to see that changed to structure footprint, but that's,
5.1,
or
so
just put, it changed to footprint.
just say footprint, okay?
So if you, I
So
would-
just amend the title.
yeah. And either add it under D,
Footprint and D,
you can say, senior housing article 13, semicolon, solar energy systems.
okay.
And then the same thing for 515, E. Although you're not really changing the,
So do you want that in 5.15, David?
well, that's probably a quick discussion on that. The reason I'm thinking that yes is because, you're, well, you're saying only less than 2,000, or you're saying a maximum of 2,000. So maybe not.
All right, so
I wanna make sure that, basically, that you're reading through this, that you say, but there is nothing in the solar energy systems that contradicts the maximum lot coverage. Other than, where you've added it to say it doesn't. That the section, that you just added in the conditional use.
which
but-
is,
Okay, now I'm confused.
yeah.
So-
We're all
You
confused.
basically allowed, the percentage, which was based on the district, but rural district, you're allowed 12%.
Yes,
So either it's going to, your system can be a maximum of 12%,
mhm,
or up to 26,000 square feet of lot coverage, but you're limiting it to 20,000.
Right,
So you're not contradicting 515 in any way.
right,
so then
But
let's,
I wanna make sure that it doesn't seem like you're saying, no matter the size of your lot, you're allowed 20,000 square feet.
right, right. And so,
well,
I
maybe we,
think we're okay.
maybe we should just say that.
Well, I was looking back at the definition at the beginning, and it says, very first line says, solar energy system, a feature of a structure that relies on sunshine, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we should just call it a structure that relies on. That puts it in the very second word of the definition, that this is a structure. And then later on it says, roof mounted are not.
Wait a second, let's,
So-
show me where you are.
So I'm going all the way back to the
Okay.
very first definition, solar energy system. Instead of saying it's a feature of a structure that relies on sunshine, just say it is a structure that relies on sunshine.
Okay,
And that
so,
makes it
so
clearly-
we've kept on, we keep on taking, remember it was a feature of a blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So why do we have the feature in there to begin
I
with?
don't know,
What-
I mean,
Well, then maybe there was a
well,
reason.
cause it was kind of like a roof mounted is sort of a feature of a structure, and
So I just wanna make sure when we take things out,
We don't
we,
undo
yeah,
what we did.
because we did things
Okay.
on purpose, so let's go through the logic.
Yeah, I
well,
think it
so.
was the roof.
I think part of it was the roof
Yeah.
mounted, and then we've now sprung that out into its own definition, and it says, it is not a separate structure.
Okay,
And so, I think we're safe.
so if we just, so correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, so what you're saying is if we just define it as a structure, then that
It
wording.
automatically-
Was that your interpretation too?
Yeah, that,
Would that do it for you?
I think so.
Well, let's not think,
Yeah.
let's.
Yeah, I'm just, without
I'm-
seeing and reading it again
Yeah.
in its entirety, I just want it to be clear that you don't get
Right.
20,000 square feet
No,
no matter
we
the
wanna
lot.
be clear about that.
Right. So,
So would that do it?
I think it makes it completely clear as far as the language is concerned. There's still the customer relations piece that.
Well, yeah, I
David
mean,
has to deal
I
with.
want David's opinion
Well-
on it in terms of, you know, how he's gonna deal with it.
I mean, I'm going to deal with it, I know the intent, and the
Right.
intent is that not. If somebody disagrees with me, they go to the zoning board, and then the
Yeah,
zoning
so,
board
but,
makes a
but
ruling.
we wanna write this so that that doesn't happen.
Well, but I think.
And your successor doesn't have
Right.
problems.
Yeah.
Right, and then
Right.
if they don't like what the zoning board says, then they go to court. And
Yeah.
so somebody could argue,
Good language is what avoids
Yes,
these
yeah.
things.
And I think to say, if we, the second word in the definition is it is a structure, then you
Then
point
you go
to
right to structure.
the structure, then you point to,
So, okay, David, let's just go through so it's a structure, so where do you go? And let's just go through the process now so that we're absolutely clear.
let me just, I wanna, yes, I'm good with that, because if you look at the definition of lot coverage, the area of a lot occupied by structures and improvements.
Okay. So that just makes it absolutely clear?
Yeah, so it says, you're saying you've limited the amount of panels from the cumulative to 20,000 square feet. But it also is a structure, you've said it is a structure, and the lot coverage, area of lot occupied by a structure, so your maximum of 20,000, or your maximum you can get is 26,000 square feet. So it makes sense that your solar panels have to meet that, because they're structures, they have to meet the dimensional
Right,
controls.
but they can't get the 26,000 square
They
feet.
can't, you're still limiting them to,
So, Rich Brown's idea of taking out a feature of a, and we just have a structure, you
Yep.
like that?
yes,
Okay, thank you, Rich.
Could I make an addition
Mhm.
to the definition of structure, since we're talking about things as small as billboards and satellite antennas, that we include solar panels?
Yeah, I thought we already
Yeah, I
decided,
think we did.
we said,
oh,
No, we didn't.
no,
Yeah.
I think.
I think we
Yeah.
did.
I
I
feel
wrote it.
okay
You know,
now.
it's like, then we have to start putting everything.
Yeah,
I
So-
thought,
Yeah,
I
we
thought
did.
we did. I,
We did,
I,
we
I
did.
wrote down add SES to structures, as structures to definition.
Yeah, no, we did.
We did.
oh, okay.
Okay.
I,
So does everyone agree on
I'm
that?
okay not
Well,
doing that.
not
yeah.
everyone, obviously.
Okay, I'm with Rich.
Because it, a structure, anything constructed or erected with a fixed location on, above, or below the ground. I mean,
So-
that to me is clear,
That's-
that it's,
So,
Really clear.
is there any, bad reason to add it? I mean, is there any
Yes.
downside to adding it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
More
it's good.
words is a problem, and.
Because,
Yeah.
it's, I mean, to me, clarity is a good thing.
I agree. I don't think there's any way to misconstrue a solar panel as anything except something constructed or erected above the ground. And that this is,
So
This
let me,
is
but let
gonna
me
get
ask
too
you
long.
specifically, what is the downside of adding SES?
because people will get this ballot that's gonna be 4 or 5 or worse pages
gonna
long,
be,
and say, I don't know what this is, why? And I don't think, I mean, if it made a difference, we should absolutely say it.
so you're thinking of it from like a political point of view in terms of getting this passed. That'll be something that'll put people off, because it'll be an extra thing to read. I mean, I understand that.
Right.
Just adding that in that, I have to agree with
Yeah.
Rich on this,
Yeah.
because now you're gonna have to add that entire paragraph on the ballot.
And we're gonna have to add the 514.
Yes,
Yep.
yep,
And so the,
Well, we did that, actually, I mean, with the senior housing
Mhm.
article, we had like pages of those things.
Yep.
And passed.
I just don't think it really is gonna change anything.
Okay, I'm good.
Because it, you know, to me, the structure definition is very straightforward, you know.
Okay.
It's
I'm
built on the
willing-
ground, it's a structure.
I can go either way on this. I think both of the clarity thing I like, but also the practicality thing also, so
Yeah,
the rest of,
I disagree, I mean, this definition of structure, it goes in to say what's not a structure, an animal shelter under 15 square foot, a stone wall,
That's a
a
good point.
mailbox.
That's a good
I
point.
mean, and-
Yep.
I
you're
mean,
moving
it's-
me back to the, to the definition.
And it's telling us that, you know, billboards and swimming pools and storage tanks and septic systems are structures.
right, well, septic tank is underground, or septic system is underground,
Mhm.
so there's a well,
Right.
swimming pool in ground.
An RV used as a dwelling unit, I mean, we're talking about something that can be as big as half an acre. And we're not, and we're trying to avoid calling it a structure in the
It
definitions.
says it
that-
includes but not limited to, and I just don't think
Yeah.
we need to list every little thing.
Well, this isn't little, this is,
Yeah, this
Well, it's
is,
enormous,
this is
right.
hundreds of
okay,
thousands of dollars of capital.
let's take a vote. Who would like to have it not in the,
Not in the definition.
I mean,
I don't
I-
think
you don't want it in the
No, I
definition?
do.
Okay, then that's it, it's not going, that's the
Because I
majority.
think David's right, I mean, it's clear, anybody comes in, they're not gonna argue it, I mean, you're just gonna say
Okay,
this is it.
so it's not
It's a
vote,
structure, right?
it's decided.
And even if they want to question my determination of that and go to the zoning board's gonna look at this.
Right.
And if they don't like the zoning board and go to court, I don't see a judge looking at this and saying any different.
Right,
You know, it's clear, and I can understand wanting to put it in there to be absolutely clear, but
yeah, I mean, if we put it in, it might eliminate somebody asking you about it, but so what, they're gonna ask you.
Well, we've kind of taken care of that, I guess, then by saying a solar energy system is a structure.
Is a
in the
structure,
definition.
that was the intent, that's
So-
why, this
Okay.
Rich was.
I guess I can,
That was to get
I
around
can feel
that.
better about it. I
Okay.
can go home and sleep tonight.
Okay, okay. All right,
You've won me over.
all right, good. So where in the world are we now? Did we covered
So we're at citing.
citing,
We're talking about
God.
lot
Oh
size.
my God. All right, what time do we wanna end tonight? Let's just keep it
9
at
o'clock.
9 o'clock, okay,
I need 2 minutes at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
okay. That's scary,
No, it's not.
okay.
8:50.
All
Well,
right,
it could be scary, we'll see what happens.
all right, large, so we're on citing. God, that was just the review criteria we did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay. Large scale ground
We're
mounted,
almost there.
the 5 acre thing, oh, that's how this whole thing came up.
Right, and we've settled that.
We've-
It's a
all right.
structure, we know it, the
Okay.
lot coverage rules.
And is B an issue? The 20 contiguous
No.
acres? Okay,
No,
and we have a height thing.
Yep,
yep,
Setbacks,
Setbacks.
we have that, don't we?
well, David proposed
Yeah, David put it in there somewhere.
wording for setbacks, 50 feet, I think.
Okay, let's read the language.
Where is that, what page? Yeah, where is it?
There's-
Sure.
I have so many copies of this.
If
Oh,
you look
there it is,
under
under 11,
1.2.
2.
Yes.
11.1.2.
Oh, yeah, hidden right there in front of us.
Okay, just, but we need language. So,
This is
but we don't wanna
talking
put, we don't wanna put a 50-foot setback as a general requirement.
No,
So how do we do that?
it's a condition of, the approval for the large system.
So where do we put it, and how do we,
14.4,
Oh.
and I think we're up to F.
14.4?
And
Well, hold
We're up
on,
to-
no, we're past F,
G, we're up to G.
cause, but we're gonna,
Actually,
Leave-
the
What's
overall,
the F was the keen condition of approval.
yeah, so we'll make that G and
No,
make.
no, no, the
that-
condition of approval is the last one that we
Right.
get to.
Right,
Oh, so
so
that'll
that's
be
what we're
G,
saying, so
that'll
that'll
be
be
G, Vicky.
moved to G.
Right,
And
but
then
it
F
may
will
not
be
be G,
the-
it
Okay.
could be Z. at the
Okay,
rate
let's
we're
just
going.
leave that, we won't give it a letter, but the
Right.
F is,
This new one.
which is, what's the language we wanna use? Solar energy systems are,
Minimum, we can just use Keene's language.
what do they say?
Minimum setback distance of 50 feet from all exterior property lines and existing public rights of way shall be required.
Okay, great. All right, so that covers, setbacks. Okay, then lot coverage. And David has a thing in here that says 70%, but it should be a zoning issue somewhere.
Right, this was
Which page
These
is
are-
that?
part of the conditional use, and that's a requirement, not a,
So is that another one for 14.4?
I don't think so, it's follows the same lot coverage rules as everybody else, as anything else does.
The 70%?
again, that was something that was discussed,
So everybody's, 11.1.7 is what we're looking at.
Yep.
And David put in, the dimensionals shall conform to the table in 5.1, then it's not to exceed 70% of the lot.
that was, again, that was part of what Tim had wrote.
Right, and
so-
that was something we said we wanted.
So then you're gonna need to put that in the zoning ordinance.
14.4 with another letter, no?
Well,
Why do we need to do that?
Well,
Did we
that's-
already
I
address
thought
it?
we had, you had, basically, if you allow it to have the same dimensional controls as any other structure,
right, you're at 12%.
right, you're at 12%. And.
But we're saying it can be 70%.
Well, do you want, is that what you really want? 70% of an acre lot covered by,
That'd get you most of the way to 20%, to 20,000 square feet.
yeah, so I think,
Just leave it?
I would not include the 70% language
Okay,
because we've
okay.
already got the, I mean,
So we
Yeah,
have,
but
a-
that-
we have a,
12%.
okay.
yeah,
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you have a stricter,
Okay, got it. All right, next.
Visual buffer, we have something about perimeters, landscape buffer, this is 11.1.2.
No, I got some pieces of paper here, I'm going bonkers.
You got mine.
I got yours, which I'm writing all over.
It says, the one, it says, even on top.
No, we're looking we're looking for this
Yeah,
thing.
there it
Here
is, there it is, right
Okay.
there, you got it. Right
What is
here,
it, what is this doing on top? Get this thing out of here.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
what you got.
Okay, lot coverage, so all right, we don't care about that. Should be cited in a manner to reasonably minimize the view, didn't we already address that?
Well, I think the site plan review talks about perimeter or landscape buffer shall be provided to assure the development conforms.
So we already have that covered, don't we?
I think we have.
Well, like I
already
said,
done
this
that.
is cited. I mean, it doesn't really talk about landscape,
Yeah,
it talks
I mean-
about cited in a manner.
I also put in a citing in the 11 section,
11.1
Oh, yeah, you
Or,
did,
yeah.
didn't you?
11.14. You have,
Yeah, I got it.
I don't remember, but I know I added.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
you did.
at the
It's
bottom
11.1.
of that page, 11.1.4.
And then it moves on to the second page,
Yeah.
the page after that.
11.1.4.
Yeah, there, the bold at the top of that page.
Oh, solar energy systems shall be cited in a manner to, yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, so that's,
isn't that,
yeah, that covers,
is anybody uncomfortable with that?
No?
Okay,
And even though that's specific to solar energy systems, so even if you have a site plan that has no solar, then
it's moot,
it's moot.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay,
right,
the visual impact of medium scale and large scale ground mounted solar systems associated with any extensive preservation of existing, I think we have something on that in the site plan review.
Yes,
Which one is that?
Site
Screening?
characteristics,
yeah, 11.1.1, yep, natural
11.1.
cover shall be retained to supplement required landscaping to the extent possible and reasonable. Yep.
Okay,
yeah.
is that good with everybody?
Yep.
Mhm.
C, if landscaping is used as a provide a visual buffer, it shall provide year-round screening of the ground-mounted solar energy system and
That
such.
should be in the landscaping
Yeah.
added by Tim. 11.1.13, I have 12 when I wrote it, but
Yeah,
it's 13.
that's it, yeah.
Provide year-round screening of the system and associated equipment.
Yep, good.
Be comprised of native species and be maintained for the full term of the system. The full term of the system is located on site.
So that's all in there,
Yep.
okay.
Covers.
And do we want that to be part of our site plan regs, or is this specific to solar?
Well, we already have something in there,
Yeah, we must have something in the site plan that covers screening.
I think we already,
Yeah, we do.
yeah, so this is a general thing,
Okay.
I think, unless somebody disagrees.
We already have perimeter screening and or security fencing may be required and shall have a maximum height of 8 feet.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could add this to that section.
Well, and all these things are in David's very end thing, right?
Well, is it, are they?
I think that's where he got them.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
that-
is.
Yeah, it's
Well, I got it from
11.1.13.
I took them straight from
From
Tim's.
Tim's, when Tim
Right,
got them from
right,
here.
I got it.
Yeah.
So is that language good?
Yeah, I mean, he's got it right here.
Provide year-round screening
Yep,
of the system, associated equipment.
composed of native plants.
Okay, but we're really mixing and matching here. Because this refers to a system and associated equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want that as a general thing? What is,
No,
what
no,
is a
it-
system?
I would just say you provide year-round screening, period.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
And then,
and then be composed of native plant species
Mm-hmm.
and be maintained for the full term of the system.
That's kind of funky for just for every project. I mean, using the word of system. so-
yeah,
No, we just crossed it out in the
We
first.
crossed out system.
Oh, okay.
Be maintained for the full term that the ground mounted,
No, that,
be maintained
this is in general, so be maintained,
for the full term of,
Of the project.
did you just say be?
be maintained as the visual buffer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say what you're maintaining, you're just saying you're going to maintain it, period. You know,
be maintained for the life of the,
Project.
Project,
yeah.
well,
Is it a gas station? I mean,
yeah.
that's,
you mean if,
I mean, if this is going to site plan
Right, right.
regulations, it's
Yeah.
for a gas station or for.
right,
or whatever, and so.
So,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
wanna be
if-
able to, if you,
so-
Be maintained for life, I mean.
yeah, so,
Okay.
you know, like,
if you just say be maintained for the life of the project, you're then saying, you know, as long as it's there, you need to maintain.
right,
Right.
right.
And if a tree dies and it needs to
You
be
need to-
replaced.
So, just to address your concern,
I mean, I'm not, I don't have any concerns.
oh, okay, okay,
Well,
I was
it's
just
like,
thinking,
remember Morty Bailey with, we had to have him put the screening up? The next person who, you know, the screening's really tiny and actually isn't really that effective yet, I would say.
well, let's.
But anyway, that should
Right,
play,
right,
you know,
right.
yeah.
right,
Okay,
so, what do we want that to say now, be maintained?
for the life
For
of
the
the
project.
project,
For the life of the project, that's fine.
okay.
Or for the life of the party,
Life of the project,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
right?
That would be more fun.
Yeah, okay.
Environmental clearing of existing trees and vegetation shall be limited to what is
We have
necessary.
that in the first,
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
in that character.
B, the design of ground-mounted solar energy systems shall include sufficient distance, which at a minimum shall be the width of a single solar collector panel between blah, 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 blah. To allow for capture of rainfall and growth of vegetation.
So that's the spacing between the panels that
Yeah.
we're trying to regulate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, that's what it says.
Why do we wanna do that?
Yeah.
I don't think we wanna do that.
So you don't wanna require any minimum spacing?
I mean,
I don't.
the,
What does everybody else think?
So I mean, that, it provides better absorption of
Right.
rainwater and stuff like that,
Right.
if you do have some space.
well,
I think, who's the energy person that came in?
Mills?
No, nurse?
No.
Jim Nurse?
Mark Bollinger.
Oh,
Mark
Bollinger.
Bollinger was kind of warning us to be careful of.
Right,
of
right, what he did,
Making something so that they're all just.
right,
Right.
right.
Because then you
There's no
might not
space
have
in between them.
vegetation underneath them. If you put them right
Yeah, you
tight, you
won't.
wouldn't have anything underneath them.
Well, that's what he was warning against.
Yeah,
well, although you're not gonna have them cheek by jowl, because if you do, this one's gonna shade the bottom of this one.
Yeah,
So you
they
have to have
shouldn't
them
be,
spread out.
they shouldn't be, but this,
Well, I mean, a qualified designer is gonna have the right spacing between. And, I mean, the other thing is that this is, how do I say this? You've got a solar panel that's this big, it's tipped like this,
Right.
but it's this wide.
right,
All the water that comes off it, I mean, it's a 6-foot
right,
span, it's gonna fall right at the edge.
right at the drip
But
line.
it's gonna be, have the ability to flow out essentially where it is. It's not like a concrete driveway or asphalt driveway that concentrates all the water and shoots it down like a funnel. I mean, it's, yes, all the water that
So
falls in this.
why was Mark concerned about it?
I don't know, but
Cause I recall also he was,
yeah.
I think I did hear you say
Cause,
that.
'cause, I mean, there is some possibility that, you know, people could lay their panels fairly flat.
I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah,
I think Rich is right, the water's still gonna run off,
Right, I
you
mean,
know,
and my
somewhere
guess,
it's gonna run off, yeah.
right,
I
but I
think
mean,
he
it's,
was concerned about, like, how you define a footprint,
right.
so make you wanna cram them all together. But the way you define footprint, it's the drip edge of the individual panels, so that problem won't
Maybe
I
arise.
think you're right, that it
Yeah,
was,
I think
you was
that-
at the discussion
that's
of,
right.
are you including the development area as
Yeah.
the footprint?
Very good, thank you. That rings a bell for me too.
So it does make it impossible to, pretty much impossible to keep vegetation underneath there, so
If they put them close.
if they put them close
Even
together.
if the water runs, because you won't
Which
get
is
sun.
why you require a drainage plan
Yeah,
Right.
So
to,
the drainage plan would give us,
basically.
so, okay, with the drainage, say we don't like how the water's gonna run here, so we could say, because of the drainage plan, we'd like there to be more space between it.
So can I also say something a little bit from knowledge of
Sure.
installation of solar panels? You're not gonna put them too close together because you gotta be able to maintain them, so you're gonna be able to walk between
Right.
them.
Right,
So you're gonna have at least have 3 feet between the panels
It's probably,
minimum,
yeah.
in order for a decent sized man to get through, and if you wanna be able to get equipment through, it's gonna
Right.
be more.
Okay, well, that's reassuring, and that combined with that we have the drainage
Mhm.
thing would give us at least, if there was, for some unforeseen reason, would give us a way to address it, right? Does that make sense?
I think through drainage, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 'cause
Is that okay with you, Vicky?
Mhm.
All right, so we'll just skip that.
Yep.
Noise and glare, we already, all right, well, the solar
We talked
energy,
about noise and,
You already put that in.
we already did
Yeah.
that, glare and,
Yeah.
okay.
And noise.
Inverters shall be fully enclosed,
Why?
I don't know.
Noise,
So we're already addressing noise.
Yeah.
Right, if they don't make noise, why do we care?
no, they do make noise.
They do make noise.
Okay, so we've already said, estimates of any equipment noise on a site based on
Yeah.
equipment specification materials.
Right.
And if it's too noisy, we ask them to
So
close
do
it.
we have the right to ask them if we don't put it in there?
Doesn't
Uh,
sound like you have any redress.
We don't have any what?
Redress
Yeah.
suggested, you, I mean,
Right, that's all.
how noisy is too noisy, and what are you gonna have me do about it?
I remember with the Lyme in, there was a noise thing.
Yep.
And the determination about what was acceptable was pretty arcane. I really don't know, I can't remember how that
Yeah.
was resolved.
I mean, it's a really hard measurement
It was
problem.
there was somebody came up with a decibel limit.
Yeah.
Well, other towns have decibel limits at the property line, measured at the property line.
Right, that's what it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the number was.
So is it, you can't hear it at the property line, or?
No.
No, it
does
can't be
allow
above a
noise.
certain decibel level at the property line.
Right.
Uh-huh.
You can have the noise, but not above a certain level. So, okay, so what do people wanna do about the fully enclosed inverters? Who cares?
Well, if they fully enclose them and they're still noisy, it's not gonna help me.
Not gonna help, right?
So what we want is, for trying to get at noise, is that we need to establish standards, and we shouldn't just put it on solar energy systems, it should be standards for every.
Your generators and.
Right, and, and I will say that what's really, noticeable when you pass by that big fan is the smell.
Which big fan?
The exhaust fan, for the Lyme End.
Oh,
When you're walking on Dorchester Road.
sure, well, I mean, they're cooking food.
I understand, but it goes right out into the public right of way, it doesn't go into their
All right,
gardens.
but we can,
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, that's not what you do.
so do we want, yeah, it's
Well,
delicious,
it
it smells
depends, I mean,
delicious.
I don't
If you're
eat meat.
hungry, it smells
know.
good.
It brings
Um,
people in.
All right, so what do we wanna do about this?
So we already talked about noise and glare, I don't think we need to say anything about enclosing the
I
inverters.
think that if we're gonna adopt a noise standard, that we should need to put it in our site plan regulations and make it apply to every
Mhm.
All right,
every non-residential.
but do we wanna do that here and now?
We would not, well,
I'm interested to know why they did it, because I don't think they did it for noise, I think there might be another reason.
Why, who did it?
Keen,
I have no idea.
that's what I mean, I don't know.
It's under their noise and glare.
Yeah, it's under
Yeah,
noise.
Yeah.
but I want,
But
oh, it's under their noise, yeah.
Yeah, and it says shall be, so
I
they,
think we should put a noise standard in our site plan regulations, because I don't think we should treat solar energy systems any different than a
so
gas station or something else. So we need
how
to-
would we address that?
We need to put a standard in here,
Does Hanover have a standard?
they do.
I would like to also, if you're gonna put a standard in, if you can also make it, that the applicant has to prove the standard, not, that way I'm not having to go out and buy expensive equipment to
We
check the
can-
noise, make it,
Yeah, we've had, like, for the indoor practice facility, we had a huge study, like thousands of dollars, where a guy came and got the background noise at night, and, when the neighborhood's quiet, and then if you turn on the HVAC, and how much more noise, so that was a
Okay.
study.
So could you bring us or send us, Hanover's noise?
Yeah, I can just put it at the end of this,
Okay.
cause I can find it online.
Okay,
But those are standards actually that they have in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, but we don't.
We don't, and I don't know if we really want to put it in the zoning ordinance, you know.
I think it's more
or-
appropriate for site plan review.
Yeah, I think that that's a better place for it,
But we can
so.
we can look at the language next time and see if we want it. Okay, so, security, perimeter and security fences that have a maximum height of 8, we already have that, right? And on-site lighting shall be minimized and installed for security and safety requirements only. I think we have that, don't we?
We don't need to have on-site lighting, people don't.
No,
need
but in the
lighting.
lighting section, we have, if you,
There's a lot of
Yes, yeah,
exterior lighting and.
then it should not be above such a, don't we have that?
Right.
I don't think we have
Flashing
lighting.
animated sign.
I saw it somewhere, I just so many,
No, we have it in
Solar
here.
panels.
Yes, it's under
The
eleven
lighting
point
thing.
1.6.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah,
a whole-
exterior
It's a
lighting.
whole page here.
yeah, and David added from Tim's thing, on-site lighting shall be installed for security and safety requirements only. Is
Well, that would be not necessarily for, that,
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense for,
the entire site plan.
right, the entire site plan.
Just for,
Yeah.
so,
I mean, do we want? I mean, I guess I don't quite know what the incentive to have lighting on the.
Well, the incentive would be for security and safety.
Right.
The only thing I would think you would wanna have, if you had a building that housed your inverters, then I think you would, want to have an exterior light, so if someone
Sure.
was trying to access at night because of a failure.
Right, but we already have all this, language here, I don't think we need, so I guess I'm saying that I don't think we need to call out the purpose of the lighting. If somebody wants to have lighting on it, it almost certainly would be security and safety reasons, and we already address what that would look like.
All right, what does everybody think about that?
I think I agree, I mean, I certainly don't wanna suggest that they should be putting lighting in,
Okay,
or have an applicant be able to say, well, it says
Right.
security or safety, and so therefore,
right.
you have to give it to me.
Tim,
yeah, I agree.
Vicky?
Can you run that by me again, cause I'm done with the.
All
notes.
right, I'm sorry.
Just say what we're
Yeah,
doing.
So we're talking about, what we have in 11.1.6 under general exterior lighting requirements for site plan review.
Yep.
On-site lighting shall be installed for security and safety requirements only. So far, everybody says they don't think that's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. It's unanimous. So take that out. And,
I'm gonna have a solar panel, I'm gonna fire a big light at it so it works at night.
okay, so, that was, okay, we got that. Utility interconnection. Oh my God, this is endless.
So then we get into decommissioning.
Right. Then we get
Okay,
into the-
okay, so
That's
let's,
easy.
all on-site power and communications lined within the solar footprint of the ground-mounted solar energy cell shall be buried underground unless the owner operator, we don't have that, or do we?
I think that's important.
Yeah, that is important.
Can we put that under 14.4 though, rather than in site
Maybe.
plan?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yes.
The owners, they will demonstrate.
Does that make sense, Vicky?
Yes,
Okay, so that will be, if I can find that section anymore.
this is G. So what is it?
It's this thing here.
Okay, yep, okay, the interconnect, yep, got it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then we have the decommissioning and site restoration. It's 9 o'clock. What is the board's pleasure?
We're just,
Well, we can just
we're just
do that
throwing
quick,
stuff
right?
at it. I don't think we're thinking about it.
So shall we stop, or do you wanna continue?
You guys go on, you guys can go on.
All right, so let's stop here.
Can I just throw out two things,
Yeah.
just for thought? One, if you're changing the site plan regulations, I would like the board to add in, hours of construction, or hours you're allowed to. There are some state laws that I can reference.
If you give us language.
Yeah, and the only reason is, twice, Mr. Clark's project has started at 5 AM.
Neighbors are not happy about it.
Neighbors are not happy. I don't blame them, you know, he has an excavator banging away at rocks
Yeah,
at 5 o'clock in the morning.
okay, so that's one.
And this is one that has come up recently in town for solar, and it's RF interference. And the reason I bring this up is, as you know, that they recently did a fundraising to put solar on the fire station,
Yes,
and they can't.
you're
What?
kidding.
Now, what's RF?
Radio frequency, because the inverters interfere with
Oh, my God.
the radio tower.
On the building?
Nobody thought of that?
At the time, no one thought about it until,
So it's just a no-go?
at the moment, very
There's gotta be a
questionable.
workaround.
There's no shields for,
Well, it's they're trying to figure out what can be done.
Because they raised more money than they needed, they can use that extra money to do,
Yeah, and it's a matter of trying to figure out what it is that causes that interference.
Right.
And, you know, it also is frequency dependent.
okay, so what would you like us to?
A statement of RF interference from the manufacturer or from.
Okay, so could you give us
Yeah, I
both of
can, I
those
will,
things?
So let me take a contrarian view there. Obviously, it might be good for David to say to the applicant, listen, make sure that you've got RF interference taken care of. It's not clear to me that, I mean, suppose somebody brought in a cut sheet that said, yep, our RF interference is minus 117 decibels, blah, blah, blah. We'd say, we don't know, we're not qualified to judge it. I mean, it's a shame it happened to the town and that we're having to spend time figuring it out. It's not obvious that it's a zoning.
Yeah,
So,
very well could be, you know, and when you look at FCC regulations, if you create RF interference, you are responsible for fixing it. But the problem is getting that enforced by the FCC, proving that it's a particular source. You know, especially if you're not allowed on site with a spectrum analyzer
Okay,
or don't have a
so
spectrum
give us the
analyzer.
language, and we're all fried now.
Yeah, I'll work with Aaron
okay.
Okay,
on that. I think it's mainly, I think for town emergency services, you know,
Sure.
a statement that says it won't affect.
that's fine, just give us the language and we can think about it when we're not all fried.
So,
Um,
has Vicky been, have you
Vicky's been
been
working
following
like
these
crazy.
things that we're adding to the document that David prepared that we're?
No, I'm not typing that, sorry, I'm just working on the solar energy systems draft. I
Okay.
took notes, but
Yeah, I took
I'm not,
notes
I'm
too.
not
Okay,
typing it.
so I have notes, but they are probably not as good as yours.
Okay.
So you both send your notes to David, because it's good to have,
Yeah.
And actually, I would ask you, David, to send us a Word document, I'll turn track changes on it.
Yep,
Okay.
but you should have Tim's Word document.
Well, also, the site plan document, the site plan review.
Right, that's the one that I sent out.
Oh, yes,
You should have that already.
okay. If I
Send it
can't
out last
find it,
week.
I will send you a note.
Okay,
what's that, Vicky?
You sent it out last, or
Yep.
2 weeks ago.
yeah, so I can resend it if you.
Yeah, if you don't have it, just ask him for it.
And the one last thing that I have, the state right now is reviewing the floodplain ordinance. And they may come back and say it's insufficient and want some revisions.
But the floodplain ordinance is a state or federal?
No, it's the towns.
Oh, it's the towns.
yes.
And,
All right,
and
so,
ours is not good enough for the state.
Don't know that yet.
Okay.
We're waiting to hear. So, basically, there is a floodplain, or flood insurance program that residents are allowed to participate in. It gives you flood insurance at a much less rate, but the town has to have a floodplain ordinance. That's the whole reason the town has that floodplain ordinance, is so that anybody who's in that floodplain can get the flood insurance. In order to keep that flood insurance, and town has to participate in this program, and so it's reviewed periodically. I'm going through an audit this month on it. And so what the state is doing is they're saying, they're gonna look at our floodplain ordinance, and if they feel it is lacking, they will come back and say, we would like to see X, Y, and Z changed, and then they would ask the planning board to propose that at town
Yeah,
meeting.
sure, I mean, we're not gonna say no.
Right, I'm more forewarning you
Yeah.
that you may, at beginning of October, see a document from the state, and I'll bring it to you, because it'll come through me, saying, in addition to any other zoning changes, they would like to see the floodplain ordinance
Sure,
updated.
not a problem.
Will they give us an outline of
They'll
what?
give us language.
Yeah, they'll give you language, and
So that's
so
great.
it shouldn't be. I don't think that they're going to change much, because ours is very comprehensive, and it's
Whatever.
basically what they wrote.
Yeah,
So it's not-
whatever, you know, whatever they say they need, we'll do, because why wouldn't we?
Right, so,
We have to.
yeah, yeah, otherwise, you're not allowed to get flood insurance through FEMA anymore.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody, for a long night. Thank you, Hebe.
Yeah.
So what's the
So you guys keep
interference that's behind
What's that?
by the post
You can keep
office?
anything.
No idea.
Yeah, you might.
You noticed it? You driving around the post
Yeah,
office?
is that okay
No,
with
that's
you?
fine.